Look live on Pro Stitcher. Guess who we have? Just guess. We have the subtle and subdued Adam.
I'm here.
I'm
Subtly.
Jen. I'm with Pro Stitcher, and I just want to introduce our host today. Adam, would you like to introduce yourself to those folks who might not know you?
So for those of you who don't know, my name is Adam, aka Adam's So Fun because I'm so dumb. I like to have a good time. I love all fiber arts. I love Pro Stitcher and everything they do. I especially love spending money and buying designs. And yeah, and I love sharing my knowledge of Pro Stitcher, or what I say is knowledge, because I hit all the buttons so you don't have to.
And we also have, for the first time on our Facebook Live, our guest, Kelley. Kelley, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what brings you here today?
Sure. I'm Kelley McKenzie, and I'm the long arm specialist at Janome America. And so I have a passion for helping people. So that's basically what I do at Janome, is help people with Pro Stitcher and their machines. And I'm an avid quilter. I love to quilt. I do nothing but basically modern quilts and anything that doesn't have a pattern, because I can't read a pattern.
And what's the topic you two guys are going to dive into today?
Oh, what is it?
That was awesome.
I've only practiced for a month.
I forgot. We're going to be tackling the wedding ring.
Yeah.
So our producer Jacob is working tirelessly in the background to make sure this we can see all the screens. They have a few cameras set up to show you all the great things going on. So I will go ahead and hop off of here and check out the comments and let you two welcome our guest and get ready for the double wedding ring extravaganza.
Awesome. Thanks, Jen. It was so good seeing you for a minute. And then she left, so she couldn't say thank you back. So, Kelley, before we jump into this, so you are long arm educator with Janome, and we've been talking about this stuff. And if you can't tell, Kelley is very nervous, and then I'm just me. Oh yeah, sure. If the screen goes black, it's because she had to go puke really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been tackling this, or not tackling, but chatting about this wedding ring for a bit. Kelley was doing it and we were chatting about it, and she's like, well, how would you do it? And our approaches are totally different. So we thought, hey, this would be kind of fun to come in to share the way that we do it, specifically like each one, how different it is. There are 100 ways to do anything. And if you're doing it any of those ways, you're doing it correctly, because at least you're doing it. So I laugh because Kelley tells me that I'm a perfectionist. I'm so not. And you're going to see today, I'm going to be doing mine. I'm doing no ditch stitching in mine. I'm just going for it. So Kelley's going to have some ditch stitching and things. But is there anything I missed? Oh, Kelley, what design set are we using?
We're using the spring wedding ring that's on Pro Stitcher's website, on their oh gosh.
ProStitcher.com.
Yeah, ProStitcher.com. I got it off of that, and it comes with 4 pieces, but I'm only going to be using 2 because I want to get my wedding ring quilt done. I don't care about it being perfect, and of course, you helped me decide to do 2 pieces when I first called you. And just to give a little bit of history, I was surfing the internet and came across one of our quilt shops, and I was like, oh my gosh, they showed this cheater fabric of a wedding ring. I've always wanted to make one, but don't want to spend the time to make it or try to read a pattern because I would fail. So I bought the cheater cloth, and then I started playing with it, going, oh, I'll learn how to do some different ways of doing wedding ring quilts. And then that's when I called you, and I was like, what's the best way to do it? Because every way I've tried takes too long, until I just kept doing this until I finally figured out a way to do it fast. So.
Oh, that's funny. Really quick, Paula asked what size should the fabric be? Ultimately, we're going to show you techniques on how to do your own wedding ring, and then you can do it however big you want. Kelley, how big is yours? You bought 4 yards, right? And then sewed them together?
Oh, yeah. You mean the fabric? Yeah, I did. Yeah. And that was the hardest part, was sewing it together to where you couldn't tell that it was sewn together.
It was perfect. You couldn't even tell. It looked just like the print.
You told me it was awful.
I didn't say it was awful. Yeah, and I just have a width of fabric on my frame just so we can run through this. This is a pre-printed cheater cloth, so it's by Riley Blake, so you can find it out there if you don't want to make your own. One of the things that we talked about when we first started, and again, the design set is 4 pieces, but we're only going to be using 2 of them. This is not the typical size of a wedding ring. It's actually shrunken down, and you'll see it whenever we start stitching and we go to the machines. But because of that, it makes the design super small. So we decided, hey, these are going to stitch so small and there's going to be so many pieces. What if we did X, Y, and Z to kind of alleviate that? So we took out 2 of the pieces and we're only using the other 2. So we edited the pieces a little bit. I'm going to show you that whenever I jump on. So you're going to look at Kelley's and you're going to be like, I have the set and this is not what mine looks like. I'm going to show you how we got there. Any other things? We've been talking all morning because we're like, oh, what about this? What about that? Oh, what about this? And then we just forget.
And don't wear the same color shirt.
Don't wear that. And then I put on green. So are you ready to go? I'm
ready.
We'll say a little prayer for you.
Thank you. I need it. Okay,
no,
I'm gonna mute this one so that I don't echo in the background. So give me
all right. And then we need to go to the other camera for you too.
The other camera. Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
The Kelley cam. Oh, look, it's the Kelley cam. I love it. Don't forget to unmute your other camera. Kelley, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. There we go. Yep. Got it.
Hey, was that a great view or what? Okay. So let me talk about what I did before I actually do anything. I discovered after a lot of trial and error, the best thing for me to do was to quilt all the centers of the wedding ring first. So you can see that the whole row above where I'm at right now, all the centers are quilted. Now, the footballs are too, but that's because I was practicing. So this is the only one on this row that I have not quilted yet. So what I do is I use the mark feature first, and I start before the 4-patch, actually this side of the 4-patch is, so that I don't get a pucker or a pinch in my fabric. And I mark all the way around the center of my wedding ring, and I stitch that mark out. Once I've stitched that mark out, it stabilizes the center, and I quilt the center design. And after you've done all of those, it gives you, because you've done all the stitch in the ditch with mark for this, it already has stitched in the ditch all of your footballs to look like this one right here. I hope Bets can get a good view. But there's a perfect stitch in the ditch. And that way, all I had to do when it came to the footballs is rotate my design, center it, and stitch it out. Okay? So that's what I'm going to show you today. So let's get started. I'm going to clear out my screen, and I'm going to go to the Pro Stitcher tab and record. And I will be using the mark feature. Now,
really quick, can we lift the camera up so we can see the full screen? Perfect. Kind of. There
good job, Bets. Okay.
Because we need to see the whole Pro Stitcher screen so they can see what you're doing.
Okay, so I'm at Pro Stitcher Record, and I'm going to be using the mark feature. Now, on my machine, I can use, as you can see, there's a little diamond right there, which means on my handlebars, I can use a diamond button instead of having to press the mark. But for some of you that have Pro Stitcher, you will have to press the mark for each one of your registrations for that, okay?
Is it possible for to zoom in?
Zoom into the screen. I'm fixing to go to my quilt. Is that okay?
Well, we will. Yeah, that's fine. I'm reading the comments while you go.
Okay.
Sorry, I keep it.
So also my machine has a needlepoint laser light, and I'm quilting on the Quiltmaker Pro 20 by Janome. So it makes it super easy for me to be able to see exactly where my needle is going to go down at for me to do my mark features. And also notice that I have the open toe foot on so that there's nothing blocking my view of the laser light. Okay. So I'm going to start by selecting the diamond button on my handlebars. And I'm going to do this as quickly as I can because I know nobody wants to watch me sit here and do the mark feature a bunch. But when you're doing the mark feature, it only gives you straight line stitching. So you have to do a bunch of them when you're doing a curve.
I love that sound. When I'm teaching, love it.
Well, I think I've said this a million times before, but this is honestly my very favorite feature on Pro Stitcher that we have. It's a simple feature, but I use it all the time.
We have a question. When you're done with this, can you go back up to the screen so they can see what your mark looks like?
Yeah. In fact, she can do it while I'm doing it still.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm almost done, y'all.
You're good. You can see on that screen that when you're using the mark feature, it's creating a black line. It's not creating the pink line like your area. So that's where mark and area are going to be different. Mark is like basically Kelley is digitizing right at her machine because we can have the machine stitch this out. Whereas creating an area, you're going to get the pink line. It's going to close itself. So we can see that the line hasn't closed itself there yet. And so that's the difference between the two. You can't use this to crop. You can't use this to do any of those other functions. It's simply a digitized design that was created on the screen right at the quilt.
Correct. So I'm done marking all of my stitch in the ditch out for the center of this. And so I'm going to very quickly stitch this out. So on my screen, I'm going to stay underneath the Pro Stitcher tab and select quilt. Over here, I have stitch highlighted, and all I have to do now is go over here and select the run button on my screen. So I'm going to select run and proceed. It's going to go to the start point of my design or my mark, whatever. It's going to pull my bobbin thread up. And I'm going to let it stitch this out.
Beautiful.
Okay, and I'm going to just cut my threads real quick. Okay, so now you see how my almost perfect stitch in the ditch has done for the center and stabilized the center of my quilt block. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that mark up on the screen. Okay, and I'm going to pull in my design. And now I know that you're going to talk about it. Oops, that's the wrong one. Close, selected, design, open, and this is it. So this is not it. This is not it.
While you pull that design up, Penny asked, there's no need to baseline the mark feature. It was the question mark.
So, go ahead, Adam. I'm sorry.
You can tell, go ahead.
So I don't know if I'm doing it 100% correct, but I actually do not baseline doing any of this because it's short segments of quilting. You absolutely could, but especially for the mark feature, I don't know why you would. Do you, Adam?
So I think with mark, if you don't baseline it, you can't edit it. You can't do all the editing to it. Again, very similar to what you said. If it's something short and I'm marking and just stitching it right then, I might not. I honestly can't tell you because I've kind of just trained myself and I do a lot of stuff second nature now. I probably don't hit baseline as much as I should, but I think I usually do baseline my marks because I usually go in and use them in other places and I'll flip them and crop them and do things.
Oh, I've never actually edited my mark feature before. So you just taught me something new. So what I'm going to do now is put the great thing about this fabric is that it has where you can see the center of this block because it has 4 pieces of fake fabric coming together. So I'm just going to put my needlepoint laser light right there at the center. And then on my screen, I want to center that design right there where my crosshair is, which is my needle. So I'm going to go to the Modify tab. And I'm going to go to reposition and I'm going to select center over here and it perfectly centers it. Now, while it's still on the screen, I always just look at how close each edge is to where my mark feature is. And if it looks pretty equal, then I don't move it. But if it does, I might nudge my design in any of these directions to make it look a little bit more centered on the screen. Okay. Understood? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, so now I'm just going to stitch this design out. So I'm going to go to Pro Stitcher again, make sure quilt's highlighted and stitch is highlighted, and I'm going to select that run feature and proceed. And it's going to go to the beginning of my pattern. And I did shrink the original size of this to fit the center of this block.
Now, when you're usually stitching edge to edge like this, do you usually have this foot on?
No, I usually use my glide foot. It's my favorite foot. But, you know, I have that open toe foot on because it's helping me see my view with my needlepoint laser light to make sure I'm doing as perfect as possible.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a cheater cloth, so there are no seams. It's not going to get stuck on anything. And usually the wedding rings are going to have a lot of seams in them. So I was just curious. I'm always asked because I do a lot of my stitching with the Surefoot because I use ruler so much.
Right, and your Surefoot is our glide foot. So yeah, the spoon foot, it's my favorite.
And the Surefoot is the ruler foot, not the. Do you guys have a?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
ours is glide. The glide foot is still the bowl.
You're right. I'm sorry, Adam.
No, you're fine. So Paula asked, can you save your mark designs and use them again?
Yeah, you could, but I actually freshly do it each time because this fabric isn't perfect. It's not, you know, it's not printed perfect. It moves on you as you're quilting. So I always just redo my mark feature to get it as perfect as I can on my fabric.
And that was Carol had this kind of the same question. Can you do you do the next segment? Do you recreate the mark again? And I have noticed that when I was doing mine that it's not perfectly printed. It's pretty close, but some things got off. And even if you don't like load it straight, things are going to get off a little bit too. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've noticed a lot of times that like, oh my goodness, it's like not perfect and it should be, but I got to remember it's printed on fabric, you know, and it's not going to be perfect all the time.
Right. And you know, we're gonna be good quilters and we're not gonna point out our mistakes. At the end of the day, it's just a quilt.
That's right. And it's not going in a quilt show, so I'm good with this. Done is better than not done.
Yeah, it's gonna keep you warm either way.
That's right. Oh, and just FYI, just in case anybody wants to know, I am using wool batting on this quilt because it's one of my favorites. So it does help make the definition of the quilting look show up a little bit better because of the wool batting. Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
So there it is, all nice and pretty even around the sides of the design. So I'm happy with that. So you can see that now that I've done this and all the other blocks that are like that around it are done too, this football has already been stitched in the ditch for me to where I don't have to do that. And I don't like double stitching. So that really is an important thing for me to make sure it doesn't happen. So now all I'm going to have to do is to bring in my football design, do a 2-point rotation, and then make sure it's centered. And if you'll see, there's seams right here, which I know are the center of this football. So I'm just going to eyeball it when I get ready and put my needle in between those 2 points. Okay. So on my screen, I'm going to clear everything out and I'm going to go pull in my football or my melon, whatever you want to call it. Now what I'm going to do is go to the Modify tab and rotate. And I'm going to be over here using this 2-point and this end, okay? And I'm showing you this now so that you can just watch it on my fabric when I go to use this because I don't want to make you car sick by going to my screen, my fabric, my screen, my fabric. But I'm going to go to 1 point of my melon and hit 2-point, and then I'm going to go to the 2nd point and hit end. So here we go. I'm going to move my needle to this point of my melon. And on that screen, I'm going to hit that 2-point button that I told you about. You do not hear a ding or anything like that. It's a silent button. And now I'm going to move it to this point of my melon and hit end. And when you do that, now you can look at the screen. You can see that it did a perfect rotation of that melon for me. And I realized that instead of doing a 45-degree like you would think you would need to do, this is actually extremely more accurate because this fabric isn't perfect and because it does sometimes move on you. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go to that center point of my design. There's that seam, there's that seam, there's splitting it in the middle.
And on my screen, I'm going to go to modify, reposition, and select center. Refresh my screen, and you can see that my crosshair is in the center of that football design. Okay. And now all I have to do is stitch it out. So I'm going to go to Pro Stitcher, run, proceed.
This stresses me out.
Why?
Because I know that you already sized it and you know that it's going to fit. I am so used to making areas, so I know that everything's going to be right in there and everything's going to be perfect. So I rarely stitch anything that doesn't have an area around it. But this is good because people can see you don't have to have that area, especially when you created those designs to be perfectly fit in there.
Yeah, see, and that's where I told you you're more of a perfectionist than I am.
I just want to know that I'm not stitching outside the lines.
Well, I can't promise that I didn't at some point in time in this quilt while I was doing this.
Just don't point it out.
I'll try not to.
I'll get a text later. So let's see. Just learned something fabulous. Okay, so let's talk about 2-point rotation because most people have never see those buttons but never had touched them. So okay. 2-point rotation works by having Pro Stitcher calculate an angle for you. So you don't have to go in and rotate at 45 degrees or 23.5 degrees. Chevrons, it works great in. So if you have a block like this and you're not super sure, if you look, so we're in the modify tab, the reposition in your ribbon. One of them is going to say 2-point with a green dot. That's your start button. And then the other one's going to say end with a red dot. So it's really important that how this works. You go to your first spot, you hit 2-point. Then you go to your second spot and you hit end. So those are your 2 buttons, and that will calculate that angle. I found that it works much better if you start left and you go to the right. It doesn't matter if you're going up at an up angle or a down angle. If you do the left or the left side first, the right side second, I found that it works much better for me.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so that's all I've done, Adam, and I've been doing this for hours and hours.
But you're almost done.
Yes, I am. I've only got 2 rows of centers to do, and then the footballs, and I'm done.
Okay, can you do the instructions for placing and you don't have to replace another one, but the instructions for placing the football in the center one more time?
Okay, so you just want me to show that real quick again without sewing it though. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I bring in my design, okay, and it's in the just a normal rotation. It's not rotated or anything yet. And then I come to the football that I want to sew that out in, and I pick one of my corners, okay, and on my screen I go to modify, rotate. I come over here on the sidebar and I select 2-point. Then what were you going to say something?
Oh no, I just said perfect. Sorry.
Oh, okay. And then I'm going to come up here to the other point of my football, and then on my screen, I'm going to select end. And when I do that, you can see that it rotated my football in the right orientation that I need, so I don't have to do any tweaking of the rotation of that design. Then I just take my needle and I find the center seams of the cheater fabric, and then I put my needle and I just split the difference. I'm eyeballing it. It might not be perfect. Then I come up on my screen and I select modify, reposition. I come over here to the right sidebar and I select center. And what that did was center it on my crosshair.
I love it. So we have a few questions. There's a lot of questions about how do you know that your football fits, and I'm going to go through that whenever I do my little section. She has already changed this design. This design does not look like this when you purchase it. Can you open the original?
Yep.
So this is what the design when you purchase it looks like, and we've totally edited it. We lost Kelley.
Sorry. Hold on.
No, you're fine. It was already resized. She saved it. She got the size she likes and saved it so she was able to open it up again. There we are.
Sorry. So it looks completely different than what I actually used.
Right. I love it. And any questions for Kelley while she's here and I can stick her with them?
So funny, so funny.
You got a lot of highs. Carol, it does not skew this button. The 2-point, all it does is rotate it. We've already edited those sizes before that.
Are you ready? Oh, sorry.
Huh?
I was gonna say, are you ready to show them how we edited it?
Yeah, we can switch to me. Let's see. First point, always a start point. The first point is always start. The second point is always end. We're going to talk about how you deleted the black line. I'm going to do that. If you rotated already, Kathy, just because she rotated it doesn't mean it put it where it needs to be. It's just rotated on the screen. So the steps are rotating it to get it the right angle and then putting it in the right place. So probably we can jump off of Kelley Cam, go back to the computer. I'm going to, I don't even know which one I should do. Let's do the, if we can pull up both of mine and hopefully it's not going to echo. And can you hear me? I hear an echo. Kelley, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, sorry. Okay. I was trying to make sure that wasn't my cameras making that awful noise.
I'm trying to figure out what. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Perfect, and I can hear you. I'm just hoping that this doesn't jump in. Okay, so I'm going to turn this slide off. It's managing light. Okay, so this is, now we're at my screens. Yay! I'm doing mine a little bit different. But let's talk about designs first. So let's see, file design open. I have to go to so these are the 3 designs you get. You get the spring wedding arc, you get the spring wedding block, the cornerstone, and then the melon. So we're using the melon, pick and go. So there we are, we can see it good. Okay, so here's the design. What we did, we didn't want the outside. We decided I'm not stitching any ditches and Kelley was using the mark feature to stitch that ditch. So we used our crop function to take that outside off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to our modify tab, we're going to go to our Pro Stitcher tab. We're going to new start end. And I want to see how this design is going to stitch out. And I don't want to trip over all my cords. I don't even need that plugged in. Hold on. Oh, much better. So I don't want this outside. So if I come over here and I use my arrows, I can cycle through and move my start point. So you see how the start point is moving through my wishbones. I want to keep those. So I'm going to put this back to the top. So I'm going to start with my end point. That's what our end point column's for. And I'm going to move that up and see how it's moving across that arc. So I'm just going to come all the way this way. And then I'll pop it all the way the opposite way. When I get back to the beginning, which is there, now I'm going to come to my modify tab. I'm going to hit crop and I'm going to crop start end. And what that's going to do, it's only going to keep whatever's between the start point and end point. Everything else disappears. So that's how we took that part out of our melon. And then I'm going to baseline this. Super important, always baseline after a crop. We want to make sure that design stays out. And now it's frozen in time. This is our new piece. So my next step is I need to get this set up to the right size. So I'm going to my area tab. And so this is where we could do things a little bit different. I'm going to my area tab. And is there a way to see both the needle and the screen at the same time? Or is it just one or the other? I'm going to multi-point area. So that's what we're about to do. So Jacob, can I just see the needle or switch the needle and the screen? Perfect. Thank you, sir. The the camera is like angled, so it looks different on the screen. But this is my football shape. So now I'm just going to multi-point and create an area around this.
And that's exactly what I did too when I went to go make the center the right size. But it's the only time I use area.
That's so crazy.
I know.
But you know what? There's 100 ways to skin a cat. Or a squirrel, or whatever they say.
I don't know.
Okay, so now we're going back to my, can we go back to my computer screen? So I just did an area around there. So now I have my design. This is where, again, we do things different. I didn't use 2-point. I probably should have, but I just went to modify, rotate, and I rotated at 45 degrees. And then I went to align because I have an area. I can use the align button. And when I hit center over on my sidebar, it's going to center it right into my design. So this won't skew. And I don't know why I think something with the type of angle and stuff, but if I hit skew, it's going to look whack. And if I hit this one, it's going to go wonk. And we don't want either of those. So we're going to hit no skew. So I just modify, resize, turn my lock on, and I'm going to go the original. I have original height and original width. So see these crosshairs there. So usually we see the verticals. When you rotate something and you haven't baselined it, you still have the ability to shrink and make fatter the original height and width. Super, super great tool, especially when you're working with angles. So what I want to do is I'm going to shrink it down to fit into my size. There we are. And now I'm going to turn my lock off. And you'll see I just have that blue line across the diagonal. I'm going to do original height, and this is going to be hard to see. It's a pale yellow line, but I have this. So now I'm going to increase my width and get the size of my football. And there we have it. Now I can baseline this. And this is where I would save it, and I would file, save, selected, and just, I actually have been saving things up here in my C drive. It designs ASF, and I'm going to save this as football. I'm going to save it as football 1 because this is actually the second football. So now I have this design. So this is going to be my design I'm going to use. So this is my first step. And so I'm going to my area tab, and I'm going to hit clear. Any questions so far? Oh, you can't see the chat, huh?
I just discovered where the comments are. Were you able to refresh the windows and hear them again? I don't know when they asked that.
Let me see. Hold on.
Do you want me to read the questions to you, Adam?
Yeah, if you can see them.
Yeah, I can now because I figured out what button to hit. Okay. Chris wants to know, do you have to have the program to modify designs? Or will all ProStitcher programs crop? Oh gosh, it keeps flipping on me.
Okay. Does ProStitcher Lite crop start and end?
I don't know. I would have to.
I'm not sure. I know ProStitcher Premium.
Program on and see.
Oh yeah, you have. When I stitch, you can go see that. So I know ProStitcher Premium. You have the ability to crop start and end. We'll find out if you can, and we'll get you the question. Maybe Jen can answer that in the chat if ProStitcher Lite, but it's just under modify crop. So the steps I've done so far, I'm pretty sure any of the ProStitchers can do, and it's just this start and end button. It's another of those buttons that if you're not specifically using it, sometimes that you just don't even know it's there. So, okay, I'm going to come back to my area tab, and now this is where things get real different. So I'm going to do a multi-point area. So I'm going to be hitting multi-point. Again, I'm like Kelley. I have the diamond on my handlebar, so I'm going to be hitting my handlebar. So
Adam?
Yes.
One other question. Someone wants to know what version of ProStitcher are you running?
I am running 537 because there was that something in the 723, 726 on the Infinities that was grinding gears. So I'm not putting them on because my gears are grinding. So okay. I'm running 537.
And can I tell you one more question? Melissa, which I know her, said, Adam, do you outline the area every time you do a football melon?
You're going to see that, but kind of, yes, but I do it way different. So just keep watching. Don't jump the gun, Melissa. Oh my gosh. I'm just kidding. Jacob, can we see my needle? Please. So I'm coming over here and let me see if I can turn this because it's there. Oh, look, that's much better. So I'm going to leave this one empty because I'm going to get really close to my my side grabbers. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my next section. You can see that I've stitched. You can't really tell, but I've stitched there. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to start making this area. Ding. My problem is when I make areas, I tend to lean on the frame with my belly. And so instead of going up to the top, I'm just going to continue to make this area because I'm going to set my whole row to stitch at once. I got to move around the camera. I do have my ruler base on. I always stitch with my ruler base. I don't know why. Because it's me. Well, we can do it more.
The way you're doing it is super smart. I didn't even think about doing a whole row at a time.
That's why I'm so fun.
It just shows you how two different brains work completely different.
Yeah. Well, actually, when you were showing your marking, in my head, I was like, ooh, you could mark all the way across from one side to the other and do it all at once.
Yeah, I thought I was just smart enough to realize that.
So here's the question that's going to come up is people worry about the fabric moving and things not like just staying tight. I don't seem to have that. I tend to stitch my ditches. I bet you that if I were doing a big quilt like this without stitching ditches, that I would have some issues. And it's weird. Like I always stitch ditches, but I wanted to do something where the ditches weren't stitched so you could see the difference between the two ending products. So I think if I were going to do this on a big quilt, I would definitely baste the quilt first.
Yeah.
Like some type of basting stitch to hold things in place, which is why I really like how you marked it, because I would usually just do that with the ruler. All right, Jacob, can we see my screen, please? I'm gonna move back here. Thank you, sir. Oh my gosh, our producer is great. So this is my area that I created. And now I'm going to set this design and I'm just gonna zigzag it and put it into place. And this is where I laugh because Kelly's like, oh, I'm a perfectionist. No, I just want to make sure it's not stitching outside the lines. So I'm going to come up, my first step, let me see, we're pretty good. I got to move around the camera. So I'm going to modify, oops, I don't want to crop. I'm going to rotate this first because I'm going to start over here. There we are. And now I am going to, I got to move you all. We got to move with the machine now. Oh, and it's obviously in a place where I didn't clean my floor.
So Adam, Chris wants to know, is there a maximum number of points that you can do on multi-point? And there's, as far as I know, there's not. I've used it a lot and never been told I can't keep dinging.
I don't think so. I know that at one point when we would multi-point like a circle and stuff, the rubber band would put like 1,100 points. So I haven't found where I have too many points yet, and I'm trying to. I mean, I will do layouts like this quite a bit, and I'll have 450. How many air spots? Like, I only have 85, but I've had areas where I had like 450 points that I went through.
Yeah.
The sad thing is, like, you just got to make sure everything's okay. All right, Jake, can I see the needle? I only need it for a second, and then we'll come back to my screen. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my needle at the intersection of this block because this is going to be my start point. So, and can we pop back the screen, please? So now I know that I want to start right here. So I'm going to go modify, reposition, start point. And that is going to put my, my piece into my football into my space. So we can see that it doesn't fit great. And this is where I come in. I don't do the 2-point. I could. I'm just going to do my custom rotation down here. It's set at 0.05. So I'm going to rotate a little bit and then reposition start point. And I will just kind of mess around with this until it works. And I come in and I kind of edit every single one to make sure that it's going to sit inside my area. Do I need it to be perfect? I don't need it to be perfect. That's not me. I just need it to sit there. Now, if I look at this, I have a little bit of space up there. That's okay. I don't have to worry about that. If it was something that I worried about, I can modify, rotate, and I can resize this by my width and just make it a little bigger and then rotate it back. So there's a lot of really great customization tools that we have. It's just a matter of figuring out how they work and which one's going to work best for you. So now I have this first one and I'm great. I did a little bit of editing to it, so I'm just going to baseline it. And this is where I've realized that they're not all the same size. So I have this first design. Now I need to put my next one in. I can reopen it, or I have a design here. I can just go to edit, duplicate. And now I have another design. You can't tell because it dropped it right on top of itself. But if I go to my area tab, I'm going to slide you this way a little bit. If I go to my workspace tab, you'll see 2 wedding ring melons. So I'm just going to tap on select and just move it over so you can see that I have 2. So now I'm going to take my crosshairs, and I should have thought about this because we can't really zoom in with our cameras, I don't think.
On your screen. Yeah.
Huh?
You can't pitch it with your fingers on your screen? I
don't think it zooms in for you.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it zooms for us, but it doesn't zoom for them.
Okay.
So I will try to zoom in as much as I can. So what I did is I moved my crosshairs to this endpoint. All right. I can zoom that in. So I'm going to zoom this out. We'll just scroll bar around. There we go. So now I want to pick my next design. I need to rotate it. So I can modify and just rotate it around. And now I know I want my start point to be right where my crosshairs are. So I'm just going to go reposition start point. And now that's going to place my second one. And we can see the angle of this is definitely not the same as the other one. So now I can do my rotate. This is where the custom rotation really works great. 2-point rotation would work so much better, but I'm doing things different. You know me. And I'm just going to mess around until it fits. So now it fits in there. It's a little close. I could just say, okay, let's rotate it a little bit more and reposition start point and get it in there. So now that these 2 are done, I'm going to hit my X, and then this center button right here is select multiple. I'm going to tap it, and it's going to turn green. I'm going to hit my first one, hit my second one, and I'm going to hit baseline. And now I froze those 2 together, and if I look at my workspace tab, I have a merge group. Turn this off. Don't ever, when you're done with that, don't forget to turn it off. It's the worst button in the world if you don't. Also, I forgot to duplicate this before I did that. So I'm just going to hit undo and undo my baseline, and I will select none. So I hit select none. I'm going to tap this one, edit, duplicate, move it out of the way. Now I want to select none, do multiple, and baseline those together. And I forget steps all the time. That's what I love about this program is undo is your friend. So now we're going to select this one, and I'm going to modify, and I would rotate this one down. Now I need to bring my crosshairs to this endpoint. So we're going to start walking over. There we go. And we'll scroll bar over, and now I can pick my next design, and I can reposition. So modify tab, reposition the ribbon, start point. Again, I have to rotate this one. So we're going to rotate it this way. And this is why custom quilters get paid more. Let's see. I'm going to rotate this one 45 degrees to the right because it was too long. Resize and just shrink the width down one and rotate it back. And it's still a little long, so I'm going to shrink it down one more time. Now, some of you are looking at this going, oh, I love skew even more now.
Yes. When you can use it, it's awesome.
And I'm outside of my line, but that's like a stitch, and I am okay with that. And I would continue this across the row. So when you get this one done, then you select none, or I would take it. Let's see. because I know this takes a bit to stitch out. So I would pick it, I would edit, duplicate, move that one out of the way. And then I would select none, which is the arrow with the X, select multiple, pick my designs. You'll see I have these groups, baseline. And then I'm going to stitch this out really quick, and I'll answer questions while it's stitching. So Pro Stitcher, quilting the ribbon, and then we can stitch this out. Oh, what happened there? Something happened there, and that's not where it's supposed to be. So we're going to undo my, and let me show you what I saw. So if I zoom in here, I didn't notice this. If I hit baseline, see how I have a jump? No, the whole point of this is I don't want any jumps. I want to be able to hit start and have it go. So I am going to select none. My crosshairs are where they need to be. I'm going to pick this one, modify, reposition start point. And that looks better. And I bet you, if I zoom in, it's in line the correct way. I don't know how it moved a little bit, but it did. That's the one thing you have to be careful when you tap the screen so much. So like multiple ding and ding, baseline. I don't want any jumps. And so I saw a little red or green dot there. So that's what threw it off. So now I'm going to stitch this out, just Pro Stitcher Quilt, run. And while that stitches, I'll see if there's any questions. Or Kelly, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. But Jacob, our producer.
Wait, what did you say?
I said Jacob, our producer, said, we have about 5 more minutes before the live ends.
How many?
About 5.
Okay. I might only stitch one of these out. Uh-oh.
I love the way you did it. It's completely different than me. I think it's great for those that are more of a perfectionist than I am.
It's not perfect. And so I'm just going to hit cancel. So I stitched that one. It's not perfect, but it's just a different way. Like I know my things fit. And I think that's where like my kind of brain goes to. So here's that one stitched out. And this is what it looks like when you don't stitch a ditch. So when I'm doing this piece, and I will run through this really quick. Can we see the screen really quick? Jacob?
We can see it small in the upper corner there.
Oh yeah, so I have this area. I started and stopped in this point. So I basically went there and came back. So when I go and I do my needle, can you pop to the needle? I just continue. I go to my area tab and I'm going to work right off of what's already there because you can always continue to create an area. And so now pop it back on the screen. You'll see that I just continued to add more points. So I have this diamond. And when I go file design open, I can open that centerpiece, do the same thing. I'm just going to center this. I'll be right back. Modify, reposition center, and rotate. And screen time, please. There we go. So I have that design. And now it's just a matter of resizing it. And I do the same thing. I will resize it so I have a little bit of a gap around it. So, and I would do this all the way across. So I'd have all the diamonds and then pick them all and stitch them.
Oh my gosh, Adam, that's so cool. I didn't even know that you could do that with an area down at the bottom. You taught me something new again.
I learned about the 2-point rotation. That was pretty cool. Hopefully our viewers had a good time. Also, we definitely need to wrap up the Facebook Live, but we'll have the show on YouTube and on Facebook, and you can leave your comments and we'll try to get to them in text. Leave your comments on Facebook or YouTube and we'll get back to you. And the next Facebook Live event is going to have Kay Collins showing us something fantastic. So be sure to check out the invites on the Pro Stitcher page. So thank you very much, Kelley. It was very nice to meet you in almost person, and very nice to see you again too, Adam. Thank you. And thanks to Jacob for making all the magic happen.
Yes, thank you, Jacob.
You did. Thank you all. Thanks for having us. And now I have to finish this wedding ring.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.